The thing is that you guys are watching my story and you're watching a daily drip, just watching the water faucet just drip, 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 drip. And you've got like a whole tub to fill up and it's just drip, drip, drip. And you're looking at the hugeness of this tub and you're like, okay, hurry up. Hi you guys, welcome back. I've got a video today that I actually recorded a few weeks ago when I was in the grocery store. But in the madness of trying to get the 31 videos out for January, it just ended up falling through the cracks. So I'm going to post a good portion of that video today because the information is still relevant. There's going to be a little bit of information in there that's a little repeat for those of you who are diligently following all of my videos. But a lot of it's also new, but it is on a subject that I've gone over before. So please bear with it so that you can get that new information. And this is the last time I'm probably going to touch on this subject. I think I've gone over it enough. If you watch all of the videos on this particular subject, I'm hoping that you'll get the spirit of what I'm trying to say. I don't feel like I need to touch on it from here on out. So if people mention this kind of stuff in the comments in the future, I'll just refer them back to these videos. But I want to start out with this premise and this idea. I want to kind of fill something out for you guys. Most of you started watching me and subscribed to my channel because I was homeless. I mean, that's the idea. This is a vlog and that's what you got to know me for. And so I'm sharing those experiences. I'm sharing what's going on in my life and the experiences that I have with homelessness. I think it's an important sector of society. I think it's something that we should talk about. And I do think it's something that we should come up with some solutions to help curb. Although I don't think it will ever completely be dissipated because it's part of the natural state of man. You know, we go through ebbs and flows financially, specifically in our lives. But on that note, as you've heard me say over and over, and as I will continue to say, I don't think it's purely a financial issue. Those that are homeless because of finances, it seems that that's more of a blip in their life. I think homelessness is caused by many other things that are much more deeply rooted, and that's why you see people being homeless for years on end, and it can become a recurring problem in their life. So I think it's more valuable to talk about those issues because I believe they're the root of the cause rather than the superficial financial issues. But on that note, again, I am sharing real life experiences of my experience of homelessness. In the last month, it's just been my solo trip and kind of in my head of where I'm at right now. In January, I've been trying to answer questions of 2 years ago, so I've been kind of on this pressurized journey for the last month. And you're seeing homelessness through my eyes, which right now is extremely solo and isolated. There are other times where I've been around groups of people, and I do want to include that in future videos as well, because I also think that that's valuable information. But as I share all of these experiences, I want you guys to know that, as I've mentioned before, on that video I called poor, I don't like the word poor. Maybe saying I want to abolish it was a little strong of me, because it is a descriptive, and I do understand that, but I do hope you guys got the general idea and feel of what I meant when I was talking about describing people as poor. Because I don't really believe in the poverty line and all of those sort of things. I don't really believe in the essence of separating people based on their economic standard. I see no difference between me and you who might have 3 cars and a 5,000 foot square home. In my opinion, there's no difference between us because of that standard. Now, I hold that belief in part because of my religion, because I'm a child of God and you're a child of God, so you're not better than me and I'm not better than you. That's really what it comes down to. I'm grateful for that belief because the times when that word poor or that idea that one is above the other wants to twist in my head and wants to make me feel bad about myself, I'm grateful that I'm able to say, no, that's not true. this is actually true. We are equal. The idea of the poverty line, I think, is fictitious in a big way. However, again, it is helpful sometimes to give parameters around things so that we can have conversations about it. But I'm mentioning those things right now just to give you guys the understanding that even though right now I'm doing this vlog and I'm talking about experiences that I'm having in this particular circumstance in my life, and I do talk about them in a way that's rough and painful for your ears to hear, and they're not circumstances that we want to go through per se, and I'm giving them in real time, and I'm being honest about them, and I'm telling you how sometimes they just really are terrible. That's all very honest. They are really terrible. For example, in this last week, since I finished my final video of January 31, and then I had that near accident that I told you guys about, my stomach has been terrible for a week. I thought it would at least dissipate, but it's not dissipating, and it's just terrible. And by terrible, I mean I'm going to the bathroom 7 times a day. I can't eat anything without having a problem, like a big problem. And there's one thing when you're having that kind of problem and you have plumbing in a home and you have a sink with water and soap right in front of you. That's one thing. And you can go lay down on something that feels nice and comfortable and warm. That's one thing to have that problem. And it's another thing when you're living out here and you don't have the water, you don't have the plumbing, you don't have the easy cleanup, let's say. You don't have the comfort while it's happening or after it's happening. You don't have any of that. That's honest, that's true, that's reality, that's direct. I'm telling you honestly how it is. And then you hear that as I say it to you, and it's like, oh, this is so rough and this girl needs to get out of this situation. Yes. I mean, yes, what else can I say? It is rough. It is all of those things. It is terrible. It's uncomfortable. It's all of those things. And I can feel for you feeling for me. I understand all of that. And at the same time, I'm breathing in and out every single day. I have needs, and when I say needs, my definition of a need is what makes you breathe in and out every day. I do have food, may not be the most delectable. I do have shelter, it may not be the most delectable. I do have something to keep me warm, it may not be the most delectable. So I have needs met. This is life. It's not comfortable, it's maybe not the most desirable, but we only have an idea that it's not the most desirable because we live in such opulent circumstances. We live greater than kings in all of human history. So we have this idea of what everybody else should probably live like then, and that's what makes us feel this heartstring for people who don't live that way, because we know the niceness of all of those comforts. But they're not necessarily the needs. And I do have needs met. That doesn't mean that I can't be honest about how sometimes even those just the bare needs being met is not uncomfortable. I can be honest about that. I can tell you about that. But that doesn't mean that I don't have my needs met either. Both of those two ideas can live together at the same time. So they may not be delectable needs, they may not be aspirational needs, they may not be whatever. But our forefathers lived through this kind of stuff. We can live through this kind of stuff, even though we may not want to live through this kind of stuff. But the actual environment, the physical environment, and the struggles of not having that plumbing and yada, yada, yada is not the worst part. The worst part is your heart and your mind. I so want you guys to get that. It's your heart and your mind. It's your heart and your mind. Homelessness is usually, I'm not saying that there's none, but usually when it's just a financial problem, people go into it and out of it in a fairly decent amount of time. It's not the financial most of the time, and it's certainly not the financial that keeps you there for long periods of time and recidivism. So, having said all of that, let's get into the video. Hi, so this is a kind of a theme that went throughout when I was doing the YouTube videos 2 years ago, and not as much now that I've noticed, but I kind of want to curb it before it comes about. This concept of giving me something and supporting me financially. Again, I'm not going to go into depth like I did in other videos. Hopefully you watch those videos. Nowadays, people accept gifts in all sorts of ways, like GoFundMe, for example, and people will start a GoFundMe for anything. Sometimes I'm wondering, why is that a GoFundMe? Like, there's things that it's like somebody goes viral for something totally unrelated to needing funds or anything like that, and then they start a GoFundMe. And there are homeless people who have done GoFundMes and all this sort of stuff. Again, I'm not going to go into depth on this. I'm just going to say that I don't feel comfortable with it. And the fact of the matter is I don't panhandle, I don't beg, I don't do any of that. I had a guy that was homeless, and this was way before I was homeless, tell me that the true homeless don't really actually panhandle or beg. Now that I've lived out here, I don't know that I entirely agree with that, but I understand the concept of what he was saying. So I make a little bit of money and I live off of that. I live very, very, very menial. I make a little bit when the clouds part, and then unfortunately I go back into this depression and the money gets used. But I don't want to live off of somebody else when I have 2 hands and 2 feet. Now, I've said that very thing to one of my friends, and she's like, yeah, you have 2 hands and 2 feet, but you don't realize how debilitated you are. You don't realize how incapacitated you actually are. And her saying that to me, I was like, whoa. And I thought about it, and I couldn't argue. So I understand, and I understand the care and compassion that she had, even to say something so blunt to me. And I understand how she's viewing and that she wants to see me out of the situation. And I understand you guys seeing this and would want to see me out of the situation. But again, there's a myriad of reasons why I just can't. I'm not going to do that right now. And maybe I keep failing and I get to that point. I don't want anybody to ever think that I was conning or took advantage of something. I want to be like the rest of YouTubers, so I want to build a YouTube business. So there will come a point. You get the super chat money, you cash app, you can do sponsors. You know, people will donate to your channel, donate to you because they like you as a creator and stuff like that. When I get to that level, I'll accept those things. But I don't feel like I'm at that level. I need to work on myself first. Again, that quote, Christ doesn't take the man out of the slums. He takes the slums out of the man, and the man takes himself out of the slums. And I really want you to get that. One of the ways that you guys can help take the slums out of me is by watching all my videos and sharing them, helping me to grow this business. This is what I've chosen to do. So help support me in this. Then this will bring me the money. You know what I mean? And it will bring me the dignity and the confidence. And I think this is one of the big things people don't understand about homelessness. They want to just give money. They want to throw money at it and not look. You need to talk to people. You need to connect. Half of these people are homeless because they have no connections. You need to talk to them. You need to figure out why that person's homeless. You need to connect with them, and you need to connect with them actually not even just for them, but for you. We all need this. We're all starving for this. And then on top of that, just giving the money, again, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, you know. How long is that going to last? What that man or woman needs is dignity. They need dignity and they need confidence. Whatever area they're lacking at in their life, they need that again. You know, what we earn, we cherish, but what we earn, it grows us. When we earn it, we are growing. We are building ourselves. We're building our dignity, we're building our self-respect, we're building our confidence, we're building confidence in other people according to us, which continues to build our confidence. Our society is going to go way downhill if we just start giving things away for free all the time, left and right, and don't require any work from people. I don't believe in universal basic income. This whole idea that nowadays you can go out and rob a store, and if it's anything under $1,000, you're not going to receive any sort of consequences for that. Where does that lead us? Where does that lead us? When you don't have to get off your couch, despite you having the 2 hands and 2 feet, and you know you can, okay, there are people who can't, so they do need the help. But when you know you can, and you're just given it, and the natural man in us just kind of wants to take it because it's easy. Have you ever seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness? I don't know if that man was even famous. I don't know why they chose to make that particular movie after him, other than it's a great story. But I don't know that he was famous or notable or anything like that. It was a fantastic story, though. But he chose a path. He decided, I'm in this bad situation, and here's my path out of it. That's the path that that man chose. And then he had to work around it to get himself out of it. But he put his head high and he put his shoulders back at the end of the day because he did it. Now, if somebody came by and just saved him, he'd probably still be in that situation today. We are interdependent. So I know that a lot of what I'm saying even right now is independence, independence, independence. And it's not this interdependence. But there's interdependence, there's independence, and there's dependence. I'm not going to be your dependent. That movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, we don't know that man's whole story, okay? The thing is that you guys are watching my story, and you're watching a daily drip, just watching the water faucet just drip, 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 drip. And you've got like a whole tub to fill up, and it's just drip, drip, drip. And you're looking at the hugeness of this tub, and you're like, okay, hurry up. You want my story to be put in an 1.5-hour movie where they compress that whole guy's story and his whole experience and his whole life, and they just take out the highlights so they can fit it into an 1.5 hours. And so you can go and pay whatever it is to go watch a movie nowadays, I don't know. But you can pay your money and go sit down in the theater and only take an 1.5 hours and have this, rise and fall of your emotions and this roller coaster of your emotions. But by the end, you walk away feeling really good because it was successful. And you know that there's only this 1.5 hours that you have to deal with this fluctuation of drama. And you see again just the highlights. And so it really grips you, and you don't even have time to come up with, he should have done this, he needs to do this, he needs to do this, because you're enveloped, and before you know it, the movie's over. And you're removed. This is a completely different scenario. With me, you're seeing the drip, the drip, the drip, the drip. You're very much enveloped. You're like, no, I have the answer, and I know this could work, or hey, let me help you. Like, you're very much involved, and again, I totally 100% appreciate that. And you're not seeing the highlights, you're seeing the low lights, you're seeing the dull times, you're seeing everything. It's not just a big roller coaster, it's more like a cross-country trip in a car. And sometimes you see something really cool, and other times it's like hours and hours and hours of Wyoming. Sorry, Wyoming. There's a lot of cool stuff there too. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? I get the well-meaningness of you, and I want you to continue. I don't want you to lose that spirit, because that is the spirit that's in us to help others, okay? But one person commented on here and acknowledged and said, I know that, I would like to give you a gift because I'm learning so much from you, but I know that that's not what you want. Instead, I'll share your videos far and wide. That's what I want. That's what's going to build me up. That's what's going to take the slums out of me so I can take myself out of the slums. That's what's going to not just give a man a fish, but teach me how to fish. That's what's going to help me be the captain of my own future again, to gain that dignity again, to gain that self-respect again. That's what's going to build me. It's not a quick fix. Our society is such a quick fix. So I'm sorry about the drip. I know it's hard. I know you're going to have to exercise a whole lot of patience. And because it's not an hour-and-a-half movie with the roller coaster, some of you might quit on me. But your belief and your sharing what I'm trying to do here, sharing that with other people, that's my currency. All right, talk to you later.